So just a little review. We have the Mishnah said that you can't collect from orphans without swearing. Sorry, yeah. So orphans can only collect by swearing. So why should orphans have to swear? Why are orphans worse than the original person? And what it means is that orphans collect from orphans have to swear. Even though we want to be nice to orphans, they don't know as much of what's going on, and they're not able to swear generally the same thing that their father swore. Or the father would have sworn. The father would normally swear that the loan hasn't been paid. I mean, normally when you have two adults, I pull out a document that says you owe me. That's enough. If the document is valid, the witnesses are confirmed. That's all I need. But when you're collecting from orphans, we say that's not enough. Maybe something happened they don't know. You have to swear. Now, if the creditor died, his children might not be certain that the loan's not paid. They can't be certain because they weren't necessarily involved the whole time. So still, what they're saying is still we make the orphan swear. We don't know anything we don't have any reason to think the loan is not still valid. The document is not still valid. That's the background here. Okay. He also said that Rav and Shmuel said that if the borrower dies, then right away, if the borrower dies, right away the lender has to swear in order to collect. If the lender has to collect from the orphans, they have to swear. This oath he has to make is he swears that it's not paid up. If he dies after that, his children would now have to swear that oath. They can't swear that oath because they don't know. They have to swear a different oath. The rule is, Ein Adam Morishu and Levanav cannot pass on an oath to your children. Since the children can't make the exact same oath, the children end up having no way to collect. If the lender dies first, and then the borrower dies, then when at the time the lender died, he didn't have to swear at all. He could just collect it. And then the children at that point didn't need to swear to collect. When the borrower then dies, that's when the oath starts. That's the case where the heirs of the lender collect from the heirs of the borrower. But if the borrower dies first, then they just lose out. There's no way to collect. That's what we just said before that. So it says Shalachua kamei de Rabbi Lazar. They send a question to Rabbi Lazar. Shvuzu mativa. So what is the nature of this oath? Shalach who he sent back. Yorshin ishbayim nishvuz yorshin. The heirs make the oath of an heir, which is we don't know anything. We don't know. Our father never told us it's paid. He didn't give us any instructions that it's paid. V'nola, and then they can collect it. Shalchu b'mei Rabbi Ami. He sent the same question at times Rabbi Ami. Amar, he said, Kuli hai shalchuli. You can keep sending me if you want. Azli, as long as you want. If I know something more to tell you, wouldn't I tell you? Like, why are you sending again? You already got an answer. I'm not going to. If I had a better answer, I'd tell you a better answer. Ella Amar Rabami. Rabami said, rather, since it's talking about it, we'll say something about the topic. It said, Ahmad Bedin, if the creditor sued the borrower's heirs, Umeis, and then he died. That's when you say that the creditor is already obligated oath to the heirs. Meaning, when the creditor tries to sue the heirs and say pay up the loan, Basin tells him, okay, you have to swear. At that point, he now has to swear. That's when he's already obligated in the oath, and that's why he can't pass on the oath to his children. Lo amabadin, but if he did not stand in court yet, Umeis, and the creditor died, so that the borrower died, and then afterwards the creditor died, now the children want to start the lawsuit, and they sue the borrower for the money. Yorshin Ishmash was Yorshin. The heirs can make an oath and swear, since their father never got to the point that he was obligated to swear in order to collect. They never made that ruling. Then the children are allowed to just swear. They don't say it's a case of the oath was passed on. Since the father was never obligated in the oath, it's not called passing on an oath. Maskiv la Rav Nachman. Nachman challenged that. Are you trying to say, what you're trying to say is on the presupposition that the oath is obligated by based in, that until the creditor tries to sue the heirs of the borrower, the oath is not upon him. It's just not true. The moment the borrower dies, the creditor now can only collect with an oath. At that point is when we say the oath is put upon him, and then the fact that he never went to Beis Din doesn't help at all. The fact that the moment the borrower died, the creditor can only collect with an oath. So the creditor can only collect with an oath. Then the children have to make that oath. You can't pass an oath on to your children. They're gonna lose out. Ella Amar Rav Nachman, Isa to Rav Shmuel. Isa, if Rav Shmuel said that you can't pass on an oath to your children is true, Isa, then it is true in all cases, whether it went to Beis Din or not. Elasa, and if it's not true, Lesa, then it's not true in all cases. That you can't say sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, depending whether you went to court or not. If it's true across the board. If it's not true, it's not true across the board. So Alman, we see if the fact he said it that way, Masafkale, he's in doubt whether we rule like Rav and Shmuel. For Amar of Yosef Bar Minyumi, Yosef Bar Minyumi said, Avid Rav Nachman Uvda, Rav Nachman did an act, and the case came to court, and he ruled, Yachloku, he said, split it. Why was it Yachloku? What does it mean, split it? So there's a different case. The case is, you had a creditor and a borrower who are, right, so it's a Reuven owes Shimon money. The general case is if you have a document, or let's say just a regular case, Reuven owes Shimon money, Shimon can swear that he doesn't owe the money, depending on the circumstances, and not have to pay. But if Shimon is a thief, someone who has a reputation for lying, then Shimon's not allowed to swear. We say, okay, Reuven can swear and collect. If Reuven is also a thief, we don't let Reuven swear to collect either. So then what do? We say, Yachloku, split the money. Why would you split the money? Because we're not sure. Do we say that? We're not sure what to do. It says the Gemara said earlier that the oath goes back to its place in this case. So what does that mean? What does it mean it goes back to its place? Does it mean that since no one can swear, you lose the money? Since no one can swear, you get the money without swearing. Since we're not sure what it means, you say Yachloku, you split it. Now, why would where you go? Right, you don't say you lose out. Right, Rav and Shmuel would say you lose out. Rav and Shmuel said, yeah, that you lose out. Since you can't swear, you lose out. And here he says you split it. So answer the Devar of Derei Meir Kamar, V'leilo Sirulei. He was only saying according to Rabbi Meir. That's what Rav Nachman said you split it. That was an opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rav Nachman himself doesn't hold like that. Okay. Masi Rav Osher challenged one of the things we said before. We'll see shortly what it was. Mesa, and now talking about a woman whose husband died, and she can collect her ksuba. So if she passes away, her heirs, they have up to 25 years to collect the ksuba. If they haven't even asked to be paid the ksuba in 25 years, we say they've given up and they don't have. You can only collect anymore. As long as they mention within 25 years you want the ksuba, they can even collect afterwards. But if in 25 years they didn't say a word about the ksuba, then they've forgiven the ksuba. Now, so the fact we're talking about the heirs of the widow herself has to swear to collect. The widow has to swear to collect, and we're telling they're saying that children can collect. That means you can pass on an oath to your children, because the woman had to swear. If the woman has to swear, then her children, if she passes away, her children can't collect, because we said you can't pass an oath to your children. In fact, talking about the children collecting, we see that you can pass on an oath. It's Hacham Ma'askin, and this is what we're dealing with. She swore and then died. So she's already sworn. Once she already swore, we don't need to swear again. So that's enough. Only there the children can collect. Tashma, another proof. Nasa Rishona Mesa, Nasa Shnia Omes. Who? So you have a man gets married and his wife passes away. The rule is if a man gets married and his wife passes away, then the heirs of his wife, when he eventually dies, then if he has, let's say he eventually has children from multiple wives. So right, the Reuven got married to Leah, they have children together, and then Leah passes away, he marries Rachel, and they have children together, and then now Reuven dies. So normal case, when a woman and a woman is married to a husband who has multiple wives, he has children from multiple wives. If the woman has passed away, when the man dies, before you split the money evenly, his wife's heirs first collect the ksuba from the estate, and afterwards you split the rest of the estate evenly among all his children. So let's say a case where a man has two wives, Rachel and Leah, and they both die before him. And let's say one is a ksuba of $1 million, one is a ksuba of $500,000. When he dies, he first gives the heirs of the ksuba of $500,000, they collect $1 million. There's a ksuba of $500,000, collect $500,000. And once they've collected their ksubas of their mothers, from then on, you split the rest of the estate evenly. That's when the two wives are even, when they're both died before him. But in this case, the first wife died, the second wife is still alive. So we say the second wife collects the ksuba as a creditor. Creditors come first. So the second wife is a creditor. That's not inheritance. First, you pay off all the creditors, and then you deal with inheritance. So the second wife is still alive when he died. She's a creditor. She collects her ksuba, and then the heirs of the other wife collect their ksuba if there's anything left over, and then you split whatever's left. But the Brisa doesn't just say that. It adds one key word to that. It says Shnia v'yorasheha kodem li'osher rishona. The first wife and so the second wife and her heirs come before the first wife. So we understand the first wife is alive. When the first wife is alive, when the second wife is alive, she's a creditor, so she collects first, and then we worry about the first wife. But it says it adds the word and her heirs. What do you mean her heirs? When she's collecting from her dead husband, she's collecting with an oath. Because when you're a creditor of someone who passed away, you have to swear. So since she's collecting with an oath, then when she dies, you're not allowed to pass an oath on to your children. So the fact that we say your heirs can collect a ksuba, that seems to indicate that Rav and Shmuel are not true, that you can't pass on an oath to your children. So it says, Hakinami, Shanishba makes. No, this you can say give the same answer here they gave last time. She swore before she died. That's when it says you can collect, the heirs can collect, but only if she actually swore already. But if she hadn't sworn yet, you lose everything. Another brisa, Tashma. Aval Yorshim Mashbin Osav as Yorshah Mesabam B'Shusa. So here's a case in Ksubas that you have a man who tells his wife that I will not make you swear. That if you try to collect the ksuba, I promise not to make you swear. And not only do I promise that not to make you swear. No, that's it. I promise not to make you swear. So he can't make her swear. When she comes to collect ksuba from him, she can't make him swear. However, his heirs, Aval Yorshiv, his heirs, Mashbino, so I can make her swear, that's Yorshah. And who can make her heirs swear, that's the Bible Shusa, and anyone else who comes from her, from her estate, from her, on her side, any other party who's interested party from her side, they can make them swear. He just promised he's not going to make his wife swear. But anyone else who comes, his wife's children from different, if let's say they didn't have children together, or even if they did, but he has other children, and his wife's children want the collective ksuba independently.
Why would a wife have to make an oath?
So
to collect her ksuba.
So there are various different situations. For example, if she's pogamic, if she collects part of it, then we say, you only half the ksuba. We make her swear because maybe once she collected half, she collected all of it. She's just hedging. She doesn't want to steal the whole thing. She said, pay. You still owe me half. There are various circumstances why I would have to swear.
Okay.
Or she owes for something else. Some other claim you broke the pots in the house or something. Something like that. Yeah. So it says they can make her swear, but his heirs can make her heirs swear. Now, if his heirs are making her heirs swear, that means both of them died. Right? If both of them died, she was already obligated an oath when then she died. Her heirs, right? His heirs can still make her heirs swear. Why do they have to swear? They should lose out. So he said, if the woman was obligated an oath, you can't pass the oath on to the children. So why are they allowed to swear? It must be Rav and Shmuel are wrong. Amar Rav Shemaya. Shmai says, it's going on different angles. Osa ba'almana, when it says you can make her swear, that's talking about when the husband died and the heirs of the husband are making the wife swear. Yorshe begrusha, and the case where it says we can make the heirs swear, that's when she was divorced and the husband's still alive. So the husband can make the wife's children swear, and the husband's children can make the wife swear. But the husband's children can't make the wife's children swear because they don't need to. Because anyway, they lose out, they can't collect. And if the husband dies first, the wife would have to swear to the heirs. Since the wife would have to swear to the heirs, then you can't pass on an oath to your children. So if the husband died first, you would the only case they'd have the wife's heirs swearing to the husband's heirs is if the wife dies first. Wife dies first, like you said before, normally she doesn't have to swear. So since she doesn't normally have to swear, when she dies, she's not passing an oath, and the children can swear to the children. But the case where it says he can make her heirs swear, if he dies, then his heirs don't need to make her heirs swear. Okay. Next proof. Masi Rav Nasan bar Hoshaya. Yafa korcha ben mikorcha av. The son has a greater ability, greater power to collect from the father. Why? Sheben gova ben b'shvua ben shelo b'shvua. The son can collect with an oath and without an oath. Ha'av enu gova ela b'shvua. And the father can only collect with an oath. So what's this talking about? Hekidami. What case are we talking about? To mace lova b'chayim milva. Aren't we talking about when the borrower died in the lifetime of the creditor? And we say about this, Sheben Gova, that the son can collect, Ben B'Shvu, Ben B'Shlo B'Shvu, whether an oath or not an oath. B'Shvu, what does it mean with an oath? Shvu is a Yoshin, the oath of the heirs. You see that you can pass it on. Shlo B'Shvu, what does it mean when you collect without an oath? That is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. That is according to Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that in a case... Okay, I'm not sure what Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, the case of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is. It says Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah. So there's a case of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah that the children collect without an oath. But that's not what's really important to us right now. What's really important to us is that the children are collecting with an oath. How are they collecting with an oath? If the oath was passed on to them, you shouldn't be able to collect. Amar of Yosef, Hamani, who's the one who taught this? Beis Shammai said this. It's Beis Shammai. The Amri, Shtar Omed Legavos Gavu Idami. Then that a document that's made to be collected, that's ready to be collected, as if it's collected already. Since the document as if it's been collected already, the father wasn't obligated an oath, and therefore it's not called passing an oath on to your children. Ikla Rav Nachman the Surah. Rav Nachman got the Surah. Ula Gabe Rav Chisda, Rabba Bar Rav Huna. He went in front of Rav Chisda and Rabba Bar Rav Huna. Amrulay, they said to him, Laisi Mar, Nakr Lahada Rav Shmuel. Let's uproot the halacha, the ruling of Rav and Shmuel that says that you can't pass an oath. Amrlahu, he said to them, Ichvulu v'asai kol hani parse. You came all the way here. L'makr lahada Rav and Shmuel. You made this big journey just to get rid of Rav and Shmuel. Ella havilu lo sifala. No, you don't add on to it. When the basic is talking about, it still applies, but don't expand it. Don't make it the more expensive ruling on it. Kodmai, what's an example of more expensive ruling on it? Damar Rav Papa says a pogam eshtaro umes, someone who pogam, he diminishes his document, like we mentioned earlier. You say the document's half pay. I have a debt, it says here you owe me $500. You paid up $250, you only owe me $250. Since the fact that I'm hedging here, there's a little suspicion that really paid me all the way. I'm just, I'm not going to be a total lie and say you never paid anything. Just be a partial lie. You only paid half. In such a case, you're normally obligated. Sometimes there's a potential to be obligated to swear. So pogam eshtaro, someone who,
if that was flipped, right?
What?
Then the person holding if the borrower said, I paid you back half, I only half, and the lender said you owe me whole, it would weaken the borrower's case.
Right.
That's
a classic case we saw in the fourth parak about having to swear. If there's no document, even if there's no document, you have to swear there. Right. Document's even better because you have proof. But if there's no document, you say you have, now you have to swear or pay. Yeah.
So we saw that in the flip.
Yeah, and the fourth parak was all about that case. Yeah. But this parak is talking about the opposite, which is right, it's
the same principle.
Well, except it's rabbinic. That's on Torah level. This is rabbinic. So he diminishes his document. Umeis, and he dies. Yorshin ishbain shvus yorshin. His heirs make an oath and collect. So this is another example of passing on an oath, but it's not the classic oath. It's not the classic case of Rav and Shmuel talking about, because he could only collect with an oath. He buys it, passes on the oath. He let his children swear. We're not going to apply Rav and Shmuel in that case. We'll keep Rav and Shmuel in the case that they discussed, but we're not going to apply it to new cases. Who deshachiv? The guy who passed away, Shevik Arva, he left a guarantor. So now we want to make the guarantor swear. Now we want to the guarantor wants to, they want to make the guarantor pay. So you want to collect from the guarantor. Savar Rav Papa Lameimar. We thought Rav Papa thought to say Hanami Hosiva. That would also be an expansion, having the guarantor, having not having to swear to the guarantor, not losing out to the guarantor. That would be an expansion, because Rav Shmuel talking about the children, that you lose out the ability to swear to the children, but you should still be able to swear and collect from the guarantor. Who it is? Amar Le Rav Huna, Bereda Rav Yeshua, Rav Papa. Rav Huna, Bereda Rav Yeshua said to Rav Papa, Atu, as if Arva Lav Basu Yasmi Azu, but won't the guarantor himself go and collect from the children? It's not really different. When you're collecting from the children, you're collecting from the children. If there's a guarantor on a loan, collect from the guarantor, but the guarantor still can go back and collect from the original borrower. So since when you're collecting from the guarantor is going to go back and collect from the children, it's the same thing as collecting directly from the children. That's not an expansion of the halacha of Rav and Shmuel. That's the actual case of Rav and Shmuel. Therefore, you would not say we don't add on to it. Yeah. Next case, Hahu the Shachiv, another person who passed away, Shavach Achai, passed on a brother. Rami Bar Chama, Lameimar Hanami Lo. That's also would mean an expansion of Rav and Shmuel wouldn't do. Who it is? So Amar, so that's what he said. It is. That's the end of the phrase. Amar Le Rava says back, Mali Shlo Pikadani Abba, Mali Shlo Pikadani Achi. What's the difference saying my father didn't command me? Say my brother didn't command me. They didn't tell me the documents paid. I mean, it's the same thing. It's not an expansion. It's the exact same case. Whether you're swearing, my father didn't tell me anything, my brother didn't tell me anything, either way, it's the same thing. So Amar Rav Chama says, Hashta, lo imar hilchasa, lo karav Shmuel, v'lo Rabbi Elazar. Not clear, there's no clear ruling whether we go like Rav and Shmuel or whether we go like Rabbi Elazar who disagrees. It says you can't pass it on. Hi Dinah, this judge, the Avik Rav and Shmuel, if you made a ruling like Rav and Shmuel, it says you can't collect once you pass an oath on. Of it, then it's considered a ruling. It does not go back. You can't say you made a mistake. To of it, Rabbi Elazar, if you rule like Rabbi Elazar, of it, that's also considered ruling, and you can't go back on it. Amar of Papa, Rav Papa says, "Hi, Shtar Diyasmi." You have a case of a document in the hands of the orphans collecting from orphans, like we've been talking about the whole time. Lo maker krinan lay. We don't rip it up. If it comes to us, we don't say, okay, it's garbage. Lo igvui magvinin bay. But we also don't collect from it. Igvui lo magvinin bay. We can't collect from it. Dilma sphere like Rabbi Shmuel, because maybe we like Shmuel, you collect. Well, mikra lo krinan lay. We still don't rip it up. To high dine to avik Rabbi Elazar of it, because if a judge would rule like Rabbi Elazar, that would consider to be a valid ruling. So you can't rip up the document. Who Dina? There's a judge. The Avid Rabbi Elazar. He ruled like Rabbi Elazar that you can collect the orphans, you can collect the orphans. There was a young scholar in a city. Amrlei, he said to me, I sina igrita mimarva. I'll bring you a ruling from the west, from Eretz Israel. Please hilchas like Rabbi Elazar. That we don't pass like Rabbi Elazar. That you can't let him collect. Amrlei lachisai say if you bring it. If you bring it, then we can talk about it. Otherwise, I don't care. That's the Rav Chama. He said he went in front of Chama. He was upset that he wasn't listening to him. He said he went in front of Chama. I'm like, hi, Dain Avik Rabbi Elazar. But no, we said if you go like Rabbi Elazar, you ruled. You made a valid ruling. The other rabbi can't be too upset with you. Now it says Ve'elu nishbaim shelo b'taina. That's a case in the Mishnah. The following can swear without any claim. It says, Atu b'shuftani askini, are we dealing with fools? What do you mean? They can swear without a claim? I never said you owe me money. You start to swear I don't owe you money. Why on earth would you ever do that? Right? You just walk in the base and say, I swear I don't owe him money. What are you talking about? You clearly don't have to swear unless there's a plaintiff. So what are you talking about? This is what's the thing. The The following cases where you can make someone swear, the case in the Mishnah, you can make someone swear without any kind of claim, without any certain claim. You have a business partner. You don't know what your business partner is doing under the table. You have no idea. You don't have any reason to suspect him of cheating, but you also have no way to find out if he has. Just make him swear that he wasn't cheating. All these other cases in the Mishnah, cases where there's some situation where it would be very easy for someone to get away without you knowing anything. That way, Chazal said, you can make him swear whenever you feel like it. Swear to me that you're not pulling any shenanigans.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Why?
I can make you swear for no reason.
Saying,
I would tell you I'm not going to swear. Go back down. Like, what are you going to do?
You have to. I'm saying you basically will obligate you to swear.
I'm going to tell you no. I'm not going to swear for anything. I have no reason to swear. I haven't done, you know what I mean? Like, there's no...
I'm saying that, so normally that's the ruling. Normally, if I just walk up to you and say, you owe me money, you say, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But the Chazal say when you're in these cases, when you're business partners, etc., you're a caretaker on an estate. We're in a position of trust. We're relying on you to take care of our finances. I have no way to know if you're doing your job or not. I have no evidence you are, no evidence you're not. I can say you have to swear that you're doing your job right. All the cases in the Mishnah are a case where there's a you have responsibility over my money. I have no way to know what's going on. Partners, or you're a caretaker on the estate of the orphans.
Yeah, but the caretaker on the estate of the orphans, right? You have to, okay.
So those kinds of cases. And you can look back in the Mishnah, we can find a list of cases. It's been a while since we had the Mishnah.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's always good to look at the Mishnah. Just we're trying to go quick. Right, you have the sharecropper. The partner's sharecropper is the caretaker on the estate, and the woman who's doing business with the husband's estate. Those are the cases that we're talking about.
Yeah, it comes right after partner and administrator buys it.
Yeah, okay. Right. A shutrin varisin, right? Etc. The partner's sharecroppers, etc. So Tana ben bias. One of the things it says is ben bias. Remember the household. Shamrulo. They told him sheniknas v'yotze baraglav. So sorry, when it talks about a ben bias, talking about a ben bias, what does it mean? You can make a ben bias, a member of the household swear. Lo sheniknas v'yotze baraglav. Not when he walks in and walks out. I mean, the independent party. Ela magnis lo polin and motzi lo polin. Magnis lo paris and motzi lo paris. He's bringing workers. He takes out workers. Right. He brings in fruits. He brings fruit out. He's doing all sorts of business in the house. That's where you can make him swear. Not just some house guest. You got a house guest, you can't make him swear. The house guest who's bringing workers and like running a business from your house. Now you can make him swear that he didn't take anything of yours. Why do we make these people swear? Because they rule for themselves leniency. All these people they mentioned are doing work for you for free, basically. So they might say, you know what, I'm doing all this work. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm going to just take a little cut on the side. That's why you can make them swear. In a regular situation, you can't make someone swear without a claim. But all these cases, when they would self-justify stealing, that's where you make them swear. Honor of Yosef Bar Minumi, Amar Rav Nachman. Who sheyesh taina b'nei? It has to be some kind of. That's the claim of them shtei kesef of 2 silver, like we mentioned way back in the 4th parak. You can't make someone swear without 2 silver. Even though here there's a rabbinic and wouldn't necessarily be in that same ruling. Nevertheless, we apply the same thing. Come on, who's that like? Shmuel. Like Shmuel says, the claim has to be 2. Vatani, Rabbi Chiel is the Rav, but we brought a proof to Rav. Rav said that the denial has to be 2. No, it means the denial has to be 2. Like Rav, it wasn't speaking precisely. Really, we go with Rav. Okay. Chalku, if they split up a shutrin varisim, the partners and the sharecroppers, you can make them swear on the past, but you can't make them swear on anything in the future. That's what the Mishnah said. Yiboy they ask the question, Ma'u lagalgal b'derabbanan. If you have rabbinic oath, the general rule is we know if you have a Torah oath, you want someone owes you. If I say you owe me 500, you owe me 250. I cannot make you swear about anything else. You also damaged my house, which you couldn't make you swear. All sorts of other oaths that you can't normally make someone swear. Once you're obligated to me to swear about one thing, when you're denying part of a loan, for example, you're obligated to a Torah oath, I can make you swear about anything else I want. Any other claim I have, you have to swear all of it in a package deal. What if the original oath is Derabanan? Is a rabbinic oath? Can I add on whatever I want into the oath? Tashma is being proof. Lova menu erev shvis. He borrowed from him right before Shemitah. The Motzi Shvis, and after Shemitah ended, when all loans are canceled, Nasel or Shuta became partners, or Aris, or sharecropper, you can make him swear whenever you want. Ein Magalgalin, you can't pass on, you can't make him swear about that loan before Shemitah. Timer, the reason he can't make him swear is love menu erev shvis. He made him swear before that he borrowed from him before Shemitah. Just the shvis, because when Shemitah came along, afkasa that canceled the loan and the oath for it. That's why he can't make him swear now. Hashar sheni a different year of the oath, a different year of the 7-year cycle. Sorry, it's the same word Shavuot means oath, but also means a 7-year cycle. Different year of the 7-year cycle. Magalgalin that you could pass on if you have a partner, you make him pass on an oath about the loan. You say in a rabbinic case, you can make someone swear about whatever you want. Even if the original oath is rabbinic, you can add on whatever you want. Say, no, lo tema, don't say the diak is, that the inference is, hashar shenishivu magalgalin, that in different year you can make him swear. Rather say it this way, nasa lo shutif or aris erev shvis, if you first made him a partner before you borrowed, what's the shvis love him, and after Shemitah you borrowed, then magalgalin. Then you can make him swear. It's only if the loan came before Shemitah, that's when you can't make him swear. But if the loan came after Shemitah, you could make him swear. So hold on, we said that explicitly. Nasa lo shutif aris erev shvis, if you made him a partner or a sharecropper before Shemitah, motzi shvis love him, and after Shemitah is over, you borrowed, magalgalin, then you can pass it on. So we said that explicitly. You can't say that's the reason we taught the first case just to infer that case, because we said that case specifically. Why do we say the first case? Shemamina magalgalin b'dirban. You see from there, you can pass an oath in a rabbinic. Shemamina. It's considered to be good proof. So and we see even on a rabbinic oath, you can pass on, you can add on other oaths. Amarav Huna, Rav Huna says, L'kol magalgalin, in any case you can add on, chutz misachir, shein magalgalin, except for the case of a laborer. The laborer you can't add an oath when the laborer says, you didn't pay me today, and also you owe me $1 million to somebody else. You can't make him swear about that. Rav Chisda Amar l'kol ein mekilin. All cases you cannot be lenient chutz misachir to mekilin. You can't be lenient about it anywhere except for the bar. You can be lenient. What does that mean? Basically the same thing. My ben what's the difference? You cannot leave torlo to open for him. That means that if the what's it called? If the borrower, if the person who's trying to collect money, the lender is trying to collect money, doesn't say, doesn't think of the idea to make the other person swear, you say, do you have anything else you want him to swear to? By a borrower, by a day laborer, we don't encourage him. We can make him swear if he wants, but we don't encourage him to. We don't open for him and say, do you have anything else you want to swear? Other cases we would. Here we don't make the offer, but if he asks for it, you could make him swear. Right? By shviz mishemen is a shvua, the shemitah cancel out the oath. Not immediately. How do you know? Amarav Gidel Amarav. And the verse says Ved Devar Shemitah. This is the word of the shemitah. Afilu dibur b'mishmetes. Even words get nullified by shemitah. Okay, it's already 5 minutes. I wanted to try to catch up a little. We didn't even do a full daf, but we did almost a daf. It was a long one though. The next one is really much easier though. So I'm sorry, Rabbi Gleizer, but got you a little more behind. Okay. Enjoy Shachris.